I'm Cheryl.
Good, I'm Jasmine.
I met your husband. Is he a rapper? Spit some rhymes for me. No? Oh, is he an NBA player? He looks like one.
Oh, is this a game we're playing?
What do you mean?
Let me play. Let me guess. Slave owner. Oh, why are you walking away? Not you. Your great-grandfather. Nice meeting you, Cheryl.
Okay, first off, this is a very beautiful young lady. Salute to her. But this is something you often see black folk talking about. Microaggressions. They spend an inordinate amount of time discussing, pontificating, and whining, blabbering, examining microaggressions, which is what you would, even though that was I guess a comedic satire of a microaggression, but anything a white person does is a microaggression. Okay, everything white people do is a microaggression, especially if you're a black woman. Anything white woman does to a black woman is a microaggression. So and then the thing is, we don't spend enough time talking about real aggression that we face. The most common thing, the thing that's 99 out of 100 times likely to happen to us. Real aggression. We spend no time talking about that. And if you talk about that, then you're racist. But they spend all day talking about microaggressions from white people.
Right now, and we start with some unfortunate news. A toddler tragedy. A 3-year-old killed at his own birthday party when someone starts shooting. It happened last night in Northeast Miami-Dade.
A woman was also injured in the shooting, and tonight we're hearing from family about what exactly happened. Local 10's Leanne Modajon is live in Northeast Miami-Dade with an update to this very tragic story. Leanne.
The details of this are just so maddening, infuriating, and just deeply upsetting. If I step out of the way, you can see this is the home where the gunfire erupted. There are actually just dozens of gunshot marks on.
Now, I must admit, I was not expecting the home to look like this. I don't know. One of you was expecting the home to look like this. Wow. Whew. Where there's more than three, man. Where there's more than three, that is a place I shall not be.
Leanne, the details of this are just so maddening, infuriating, and just deeply upsetting. If I step out of the way, you can see this is the home where the gunfire erupted. There are actually just dozens of gunshot marks on this outside wall. There are also some beyond the fence that are a little bit hard to see from here. But this was clearly a scene where dozens of shots were fired. In the end, a 3-year-old boy would lose his life. A 21-year-old woman now in the hospital.
That boy was so happy.
Adrian Allister is heartbroken, remembering his little cousin, Elijah LaFrance.
We played, we have fun. Always scary him when he stay over late.
The 3-year-old was murdered Saturday in a senseless act of gun violence, shot dead after his own birthday party.
And it's just sweet. You don't deserve it. I wish you could be me.
Miami-Dade police say it happened around 8 p.m. in the area of Northeast 158th Street and North Miami Avenue. Officers came out after receiving a shot spotter alert warning of gunfire. A neighbor says he heard dozens of shots.
I would say anywhere from 30 to 50 shots.
Officers say when they arrived to the short-term rental home being used for the party, they found Elijah suffering from gunshot wounds.
Oh, that makes more sense. So it was an Airbnb. And I told you about Airbnbs last week. A lot of you guys who are new to the channel, y'all aren't familiar with this, but there's a lot of racism with Airbnbs, okay? White people don't want to rent Airbnbs when they see that someone has a black sounding name. when they go on the because most of this is done online. So if you try to rent a property and you have a black sounding name, you're less likely to be approved by that property owner to rent their place, because there's so many shootings when black people, like, it's so many shootings at Airbnbs, and it's always black people. And I'm not saying that because I hate myself. I'm saying that because every story I've done on Airbnb shootings, it's always been black people. I think one was Hispanic, but all of them. And that's unfortunate. That makes me sad. I'm not happy to say that. I wish it wasn't that way, because all the people who die at Airbnb shootings are black people. So that also makes me sad, just as sad as you are about hearing me talk about black criminals that shoot up Airbnbs. I'm just as sad about the black victims who die in those shootings by those black criminals at Airbnb. So we're both sad. How many of you guys understand why people who see, when they look on their Airbnb account and they see a name like Creatia or Laquanda or Martell or Darquan or something like that, they're like skeptical, like, yo, I'm not gonna rent to this guy. No one's happy about this. The fact that there's so much violence at Airbnbs, just like the same violence that claimed the life of little Elijah. So no one likes that people discriminate against black people because of relatively small amount, because hundreds and thousands of black people rent Airbnbs every year, and it's a small percentage of shootings, period, but they're all black people. So we get the stain because every one of the shootings is a black person at Airbnb. And then you see that black people discriminate just as much as white people do. Black hosts discriminate just as much as white hosts. And then it's like, well, goddamn. If black people are just as discriminatory to potential black renters as white people are, what does that tell you? Because now you can't just get out and march. We can't march for this. We might have had a chance to march about, man, Airbnb racist, man, no justice, no peace. We can't do that now, because the study shows that black hosts are just as likely to discriminate against black people as white hosts. And this isn't a small sample size they use. They surveyed 6,000 hosts in 5 different cities. 6,000! So you can't say, well, you know, like they just, like, man on the street, they just stopping people in the street. Hey, man, what do you think about? No. This is a real study, an actual study. And black people discriminate against black people when renting their Airbnbs just as much as white people.
I would say anywhere from 30 to 50 shots.
Officers say when they arrived to the short-term rental home being used for the party, they found Elijah suffering from gunshot wounds. Alistair had already left the party and says a relative called to tell him what happened.
And then they said, Elijah got shot. And then I broke down.
Officers took Elijah all the way to the hospital in a police car, but it was too late. An additional victim, a 21-year-old woman, was also shot and transported to Aventura Hospital. As police investigate this heinous crime, this grieving cousin has a message for the person or persons responsible.
You take someone's life. You take especially as a kid. On his day, you take his life.
And I promise you, I'm sympathetic to this brother in his moment of pain. I'm only using this to show you a point, because it happens every time. When it's the cops or it's a white person that we know is not going to come back and do something to us, we talk all type of cash, S-H-I-T, about them. Man, we're going to go burn down the police station, man. It ain't going to be no justice till we take out one of them. Till we go kick out a cop. Because you know cops ain't going to do nothing to you. Cops got to show restraint. Cops can't hear y'all talking trash about them and then ride on y'all. The dudes who killed this little boy, they can hear him saying something like, man, we gonna go find these people. Which is what you would think he would say, but they ain't gonna say that. Because them dudes will come back and see him. They'll take offense to that. Even though they killed little Eric, his little nephew, they'll take offense to him gunning on TV talking trash. The community will take offense if he even talk about, man, police need to go find these dudes and lock them under the jail, give them 1,000 years in jail. Right there, he'll be a bad guy in the community. So it's just, we gotta understand that black folk can't even really express their real feelings about how they feel about the guys who did this, or the guy who did this. But when it's the police or a white person, they get to talk about how they kill and how it's because of slavery and that person's a racist and they the worst person ever. He can't even really talk about this person's character who did this, because they might come back and do something to him. Because they're not going to get caught. This person is out there. They don't have any information. Nobody's come forward with any information. All the people at that party, nobody's come forward with any information on this person.
As police investigate this heinous crime, this grieving cousin has a message for the person or persons responsible.
You take someone's life. You take especially as a kid. On his day, you take his life.
Back out live to this home, we do know that it was being rented as a short-term rental for this party. We do know that code compliance officers were here just a short time ago. If you have any information on this just horrible crime, you are urged to call Miami-Dade Police. You can also call Miami-Dade Crime Stoppers at 305-471-TIPS. We're live in Northeast Miami-Dade. I'm Leanne Morejon, Local 10 News.
And is due in court today accused of killing a 4-year-old girl.
This story so upsetting. CBS 17's Liz Ortiz live right now at the Wake County Detention Center in Raleigh with what we know so far about the details in this case. Liz.
Well, Bill and Randy, we're hoping to get arrest warrants this morning to find out what led up to the death of this 4-year-old girl. Police have not yet released her name, but take a look. Raleigh police arrested this man, Milton Ray Horton Jr., yesterday and charged him with murder. Officers responded to the Candlewood Suites on Lead Mine Road around 4:30 Sunday morning. They found the girl with severe injuries and took her to a hospital, but she died. Police said the man and the girl are not related, but that they did know each other. They said they'd been at that hotel for 2 weeks. People staying there said they were heartbroken to hear what happened.
How many of y'all remember this little boy from a few days ago was killed in North Carolina? So children are dropping like flies in North Carolina. If only the mainstream media had 1,000 reporters down in North Carolina right now. Maybe we could get somebody to cover this on a national level. Jeez, I wish there was an event that could bring all the CNN and MSNBC and the mainstream news media, the Washington Post, New York Times down to North Carolina. Oh, there is. Andrew Brown. A man, a career criminal with 20 plus charges on his record, multiple jail stints, many violent crimes, violent charges, was killed while fleeing police for a warrant. And that brought the whole goddamn media, the world's media, everybody left Minneapolis and went straight to North Carolina. The whole media went to North Carolina. But they ain't gonna touch this about this little boy and this little girl that got killed. They ain't gonna touch it.
Yesterday and charged him with murder. Officers responded to the Candlewood Suites on Lead Mine Road around 4:30 Sunday morning. They found the girl with severe injuries and took her to a hospital, but she died. Police said the man and the girl are not related, but that they did know each other. They said they'd been at that hotel for 2 weeks. People staying there said they were heartbroken to hear what happened.
I think that's a tragic, a sad situation. I heard a little girl pass. It touches my heart. I got 3 little boys myself.
Now, court records show Horton was previously convicted of assault on a female and breaking and entering. He is being held here at the Wake County Jail without bond, due in court later today. We're live in Raleigh. Liz Ortiz, CBS 17 News.
Aaron, new at 11, an alarming trend in the East Bay tonight. Police are seeing more children as young as 10 years old committing serious crimes. KPIX 5's Betty Yu is in San Leandro tonight with more on what can be done to stop these crime sprees.
Police say there certainly is an uptick in violent crimes committed by groups of young people here in San Leandro and in Oakland. Tonight, the Oakland police chief called on the community to help steer these juveniles in the right direction. Video shows 2 children, one of them armed with a gun, run up to a man standing by his car on Pershing Drive. The victim can be heard saying, "Are you serious?" before he body slams the young man.
So this white man's getting into his car, and a 10-year-old runs up to him and puts a gun in his face. Now, if a cop was right there and had been just sitting there and the young boys didn't notice him and the cop blew this little 10-year-old's brains out, we'd be having a national discussion about policing. You have to understand that. If a cop was just in the cut, or this guy was a cop and he was off duty, or he was a concealed carrier, and he blew this little boy, 10-year-old boy's brains out, or hit him in the chest 4 times, we would have to have a national discussion about race in policing. Goddamn national discussion. We gotta talk about race in America. And this 10-year-old boy ran up on this white man trying to get in his car, minding his business, which happens 1,000 times more times than any white man mess with a black person. You should see the carjackers in D.C. These are the ages of these little carjackers here in D.C. Now, they carjacking black folk too, but they carjacking white folk. You should see the ages of them. These little carjackers here in D.C. The ages are just insane. You just be like, and the amount of carjackings they done. Like, it does not, it's the age and the numbers, like, damn. And then the amount of times they've been arrested during their little spree. Like, it'd be like a 12-year-old with 10 carjackings and been arrested 7 times within those 10 carjackings and released the same day or the next day. But we would literally have to have a national discussion. Look at the way this little boy comes up and puts this gun in this white man's face.
Video shows 2 children, one of them armed with a gun, run up to a man standing by his car on Pershing Drive. The victim can be heard saying, "Are you serious?" before he body slams the young man. The move sent the suspect's gun into the street. He screams while his partner begs the victim to let him.
Did you hear that scream? That was a guttural shriek from the that little boy was terrified. Because now he don't have a gun in his hand, and he think that white man might go grab that gun. But they don't think about the terror they put people in when they walk up and put a gun in their face. It's no fun when the rabbit has the gun. Listen to the fear in this 10-year-old's voice. When the prospect of the tables being turned, like the tables ain't even turned. The gun laying there on the ground. His buddy could come pick it up if he wanted to. His buddy could have came and ran and picked it up and shot the white man. But he was scared too. He yelling, "Let him go, let him go." However, that fear you hear in this little boy's voice, that's the same way people feel when these little niggas run up and throw guns in their face.
Video shows 2 children, one of them armed with a gun, run up to a man standing by his car on Pershing Drive. The victim can be heard saying, "Are you serious?" before he body slams the young man. The move sent the suspect's gun into the street. He screams while his partner begs the victim to let him go. San Leandro police say they took off in a small white Kia SUV, which was used earlier in the day on April 9th. A trio of juveniles tried to rob a man that had just taken out cash from the ATM at this Chase Bank on Fairmont Drive. The victim claimed to be an off-duty police officer and successfully scared off the suspects.
The victim claimed to be an off-duty police officer, and that scared off the suspects. The 10-year-old suspect. That's a good game, though. Especially when they that young. Man, don't you know I'm a cop? So they just running all over town. And you can't mention their race. No race in the story. No race mentioned in the story. Nothing. And teens. And we're going to hear about how teens are doing so much crime because of COVID. No! These ain't little Asian kids. These ain't little white kids. These ain't little Hispanic kids a lot of the times. It's some Hispanic kids, but 99% of these kids are black. And you can't say a word about it. And to you pro-blacks, I'm not saying that 99% of black kids are doing this stuff. I'm saying of the kids that are doing this stuff in these cities, 99% of them are black. There's a difference.
Used earlier in the day on April 9th, a trio of juveniles tried to rob a man that had just taken out cash from the ATM at this Chase Bank on Fairmont Drive. The victim claimed to be an off-duty police officer and successfully scared off the suspects.
Unfortunately, we have seen an increase in youth crime. We've seen a series of robberies, thefts, as well as carjackings that we believe young people as young as 10 years old being involved.
Tonight,
Tonight, the Oakland police chief called the trend alarming. He's working with the Alameda County Probation Department and council members to find alternative programs.
We know that the pandemic is having a tremendous impact on young people. They don't have extracurricular activities. They don't have school. And so we know that they're being impacted. And so we just...
White kids and Asian kids and Hispanic kids ain't being affected by the pandemic? Why they make it seem like only black kids is being affected by the pandemic? Why we don't see gangs of poor white kids? Now we know that there are 200 million white people in this country. 200 million white people and 40 million black people. And we do know that there are more poor white people in this country than black people total. There's more poor white people in this country than the total number of black people. Send me those videos of roving bands of white teens going around carjacking the whole damn and running up on people. I'm talking about sprees. Just show me one that did. Show me the goddamn. Send me the video. And because we know the media is so biased now and so racist, and everything's about race, you know, if a white kid was doing this, it would be all over the news. If white kids were doing this would be all over the damn news. You would see it everywhere, and God forbid they carjacked a black person.
We know that the pandemic is having a tremendous impact on young people. They don't have extracurricular activities. They don't have school, and so we know that they're being impacted. And so we just want to make sure that we give them some positive outlets.
A few days after this attempted carjacking, Oakland police arrested 3 young suspects inside the same getaway car for their involvement in an armed robbery. The juveniles were released to their guardians. But 3 days later, San Leandro police arrested an 11-year-old, 12-year-old, and 2 14-year-olds in another carjacking on Bezier Avenue. 2 of those suspects were involved in this Pershing Drive case.
So this little boy who was screeching like a damn ferret in a blender shrieking like a damn cat in an ocean, like a swimming pool or something, just went on and did some more robberies, got arrested, got out the same day, and then went to do some more. After this, he did some more robberies, got arrested, got out the same day, and went and did some more. And then got arrested again. And then got out. Same day. And we got to hear about the criminal justice system needs reform because they treating black people bad. And every day I do a story like this. Or every other day. But these are happening every day in every city. Every city. This is happening. Oh, this happens in New York 100 times a day. This happens in Chicago 100 times a day. You only hear about it when they kill somebody or it's caught on camera. Again, you only hear about it when they kill somebody or it's caught on camera. Or there's some racial aspect to it. You ain't gonna hear about the other 99 times this happened in the Bay and it wasn't on camera and the little boy didn't get body slammed and and nobody died. You ain't gonna hear about all that shit. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the PayPal, hit the Cash App. And always remember this point from this video. Look, man, if one of these little kids roll up on you, tell them you're an off-duty cop. Hopefully they'll just get scared and run away. 10 years old. 11 years old. They're 10 and 11. Get in the comment section, hit the like button, subscribe, peace, I'm out.
10 years old, being involved.
Tonight, the Oakland police chief called the trend alarming. He's working with the Alameda County Probation Department and council members to find alternative programs.
We know that the pandemic is having a tremendous impact on young people. They don't have extracurricular activities. They don't have school. And so we know that they're being impacted. And so we just want to make sure that we give them some positive outlets.
A few days after this attempted carjacking, Oakland police arrested 3 young suspects inside the same getaway car for their involvement in an armed robbery. The juveniles were released to their guardians. But 3 days later, San Leandro police arrested an 11-year-old, 12-year-old, and 2 14-year-olds in another carjacking on Bezier Avenue. 2 of those suspects were involved in this Pershing Drive case. And Oakland police said that as schools and rec centers reopen and youth sports resume, they will serve as deterrents. In San Leandro, Betty Yu, KPIX 5.